The following story proves that it is possible for an individual to transfer the center of imagining to some greater or lesser degree to a distant area, and not only do so without moving physically, but to be visible to others who are present at that point in space-time. And if this be a dream, then is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream. I must have reached that point where my teacher, in all of our classes, we were studying the Seth material, or we were doing other things, other subjects. I'm going to get into that later. Meetup groups I'd have at my house, all these different events. But she always had a tissue with her, always had a tissue, always wiping her nose. And I'm like, what gives? The postnasal drip or what? And I don't know. I don't even know now. I'm just bringing this up. That, what is it? Is it in me? I mean, is it, is the emotion so wonderfully flowing that there's the fluid that is the face of the waters? You get it? There's a lot of little elements at work, and it just comes to mind. Here's the testimonial. Seated in my living room in San Francisco, I imagined I was in my daughter's living room in London, England. I surrounded myself so completely with that room, which I knew intimately, that I suddenly found myself actually standing in it. My daughter was standing by her fireplace, her face turned away from me. A moment later, she turned and our eyes met. I saw such a startled, frightened expression on her face that I too became emotionally upset and immediately found myself back in my own living room in San Francisco. 5 days later, I received an airmail letter from my daughter, which had been written on the day of my experiment with imaginal travel. In her letter, she told me she had seen me in her living room that day, just as real as though I were actually standing there in the flesh. She confessed she had been very frightened and that before she could speak, I had vanished. The time of this visitation, as she gave it in her letter, was exactly the time I had begun the imaginative action, allowing, of course, for the difference in time between the 2 points. She explained that she told her husband of this amazing experience, and he insisted that she write to me immediately, as he stated, "Your mother must have died or is dying," but I wasn't dead or dying, but very much alive and very excited by this marvelous experience. Signed, MLJ. That is amazing. Yes, 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 indeed. Nothing can act but where it is, with all my heart, only where is it? Thomas Carlyle. Man is all imagination. Therefore, a man must be where he is in imagination, for his imagination is himself. That's a wonderful story. She put herself in London, England, at her daughter's place. Her daughter saw her literally in the 3-dimensional space and was so startled, she woke up from her own dream and the mom woke up from her own dream. They were dreaming together. Imagination is active at and through any state that it is aware of. If we take shifting of awareness seriously, there are possibilities beyond belief. I am one who definitely has studied very much in depth with the Seth material, dreams, lucid dreaming, how to lucid dream, become awake in your dream, fly in your dream, do out-of-body dreams, out-of-body experiences. I've done all of these things and I continue to do them, and I've mentioned them in a few videos, and everything he's saying right here is totally possible. You can do remote viewing if you want. You can go down the street, read a license plate, come back home, wake up the next morning, go down the street and see that license plate if you want. These are all the powers Neville's about to dip into that we have the capacity of, with the eye of imagination, not the eye of the senses. The senses join man in forced and unholy wedlock to where the senses join man in forced and unholy wedlock to what, were he imaginatively awake, he would put asunder. We need not feed on sense data. Everything out here Shift the focus of awareness and see what happens. However little we move mentally, we should perceive the world under a slightly changed aspect. Awareness is usually moved about in space by movement of the physical organism, but it need not be so restricted. It can be moved by a change in what we are aware of. Man is manifesting the power of imagination, whose limits he cannot define. To realize that the real self, imagination, is not something enclosed within the spatial boundary of the body is most important. The foregoing story proves that when we meet a person in the flesh, that his real self need not be present in space where his body is. It also shows that sense perception can be thrown into operation outside of the normal physical means, and that the sense data produced is of the same kind as those which occur in normal perception. The idea in the mother's mind which started the whole process going was the very definite idea of being in the place where her daughter lived. And if the mother really were in that place, and if the daughter were present, then she would have to be perceptible to her daughter. We can only hope to understand this experience in imaginal and not in mechanical or materialistic terms. We can only hope to understand. The mother imagined elsewhere as being here. London was just as here to her daughter living there as San Francisco was here to the mother living there. It hardly ever crosses our minds that this world might be different in essence from what common sense tells us it so obviously is. Let me repeat the sentence. It hardly ever crosses our minds that this world might be different in essence from what common sense tells us it so obviously is. Blake writes, quote, "I question not my corporeal or vegetative eye any more than I would question a window concerning a sight. I look through it and not with it." This looking through the eye not only shifts consciousness to other parts of this world, but to other worlds as well. Astronomers must wish they knew more of this looking through the eye, this mental traveling that mystics practice so easily. Everything is practice. The dreaming and the lucid dreaming and the out of body and all that, it's all practice. I will definitely be making videos on the subject. It's worthy of yourself to understand you have no limitations. It's worthy of yourself to start practicing the idea that I am not a limited creature. That's a nice affirmation. I am not limited by my senses. That's another great affirmation. This looking through the eye not only shifts consciousness to other parts of this world, but to other worlds as well. Astronomers must wish they knew more of this looking through the eye, this mental traveling that mystics practice so easily. I traveled through a land of men and women too, and heard and saw such dreadful things as cold earth wanderers never knew. Mental traveling has been practiced by awakened men and women since the earliest days. Paul states, "I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven. Whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know. God knows." 2 Corinthians 12. Paul is telling us that he is that man and that he traveled by the power of imagination or Christ. In his next letter to the Corinthians, he writes, "Test yourselves. Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you?" We need not be dead in order to enjoy the spiritual privileges. Man is all imagination and God is man. Test yourselves as this mother did. Especially with your offspring, with your daughters and sons and your brothers and your sisters. To them, you're going to be visible. You're going to be seen. Practice it. He's got a lecture or two on this as well, and I don't know the names of them. It would take quite a bit of research to find those, but if I do find them, I'll put them in the description. But test it with your close ones, because they're the ones that know and feel your consciousness most closely. Sir Arthur Eddington said that all we have a right to say of the external world is that it is a shared experience. Things are more or less real according to the extent to which they are capable of being shared with others or with ourselves at another time. But there is no hard and fast line. Accepting Eddington's definition of reality as shared experience, the above story is as real as the earth or a color, for it was shared by both mother and daughter. The range of imagining is such that I must confess that I do not know what limits, if any, there are to its ability to create reality. All these stories show us one thing, that an imaginal activity implying the wish fulfilled must start in the imagination apart from the evidence of the senses in that journey that leads to the realization of desire. Wow, oh wow, what a chapter. I mean, that chapter is truly very, very incredible. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Through the looking glass. Will that ever mean the same thing again? This is the looking glass. This is the looking glass. Wow. Repeating the opening quote, a man that looks on glass. Oh, on it must, a man that looks on glass, on it may stay his eye, or if he pleases, through it pass, and then the heavens spy. George Herbert. That is a wonderful quote. There is such a wonderful amount of goodies in this one chapter. What is your favorite? Put it down below. Otherwise, we're going to see you in the next chapter.